We're now at 7 or 8 past. Does anyone mind if we go ahead and start? Cool. So I have shared the agenda. And can everyone see the share?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so this is the Network Service Mesh community meeting. This happens weekly on Tuesdays between 8 and 9 a.m. Pacific time. Sadly, Pacific time just went to daylight savings time, and that's confusing everyone globally. Just preceding this, we have the PR review weekly meeting at 7:30 to 8. That's more of a blocking and tackling meeting where we're sort of walking through issues. The community meeting tends to be a little bit more free flowing. And you can see the meeting bridge details for those two meetings here. We also participate in a couple of other communities. There's the CNCF Cloud Native Network Function Working Group that happens weekly on Mondays, and CNCF Tag that happens the first and third Thursday of every month. There are a couple of upcoming events that I want to draw attention to. Cloud Native Telco Day is coming up May 16th, and Open Source Summit North America is coming up June 21st through 24th. And the CFP for Open Source North America just closed, I think, yesterday evening. Any other sort of events that folks feel we should be aware of? Okay, on announcements, the Kube Control EU schedule has been released. So happy times. Look forward to seeing all the interesting things that are actually on that schedule. So our wonderful social media team takes good care of us. Apparently we had a good week last week. We're now up 17 followers. We're following another 50 folks, and we went through about 20 tweets or retweets. And all that's been mirrored to LinkedIn. But as you can see, we do a lot better on Twitter than we do on LinkedIn. And that moves us into the agenda. So before we dive into the agenda, are there things that folks would like to add to the agenda, or that they would like to see rearranged in terms of the order of the agenda? Okay. If things occur to folks as they go, please do be aware we run a pretty open agenda, so feel free to go ahead and edit in your agenda item as we go. So the first one I wanted to sort of start with, and this is mostly just bringing everyone's focus back to it, is NSM 1.3 is coming. Current plan is to do a feature freeze on the 21st, which is coming up in about a week, a little less than a week. Do a release candidate on the 28th, and then do a release on April 4th. So I really, really, really cannot strongly enough urge folks who would like to make sure that 1.3 catches all the things that they care about. Please, for the love of God, test the release candidates. And earlier is better than later. We've had a couple of things with the last releases. We were getting used to this new flow where release candidate testing came in a bit later than anticipated. And so we had to scramble at the last minute in order to fix some things. So earlier is better on testing, definitely. Anything else on NSM 1.3 that folks want to talk about? Okay, so next up, we uncovered something when going through to update the release automation, which is the command forward or OVS repo is producing 2 Docker images. And right now they're both being published from that repo, but we didn't have release jobs for releasing both of them. And so one of the things, I mean, we can certainly do a second release job, but one of the things I was hoping to wrap my head around is, why is command forward or OVS producing 2 Docker images? Not that it intrinsically can't or shouldn't, but the general behavior to date has been repo produces 1 Docker image. And so I was hoping to understand if there are good reasons why we're producing 2, why we're producing 2. And it might help if I actually brought up the images themselves. So we've got a use host, looks like, and a, okay, that link did not work. It looks like one pushes OVS and one pushes an OVS use host image. Is there anyone on the call from Ericsson who knows what's going on with these?
I think quite a few people here are on holiday today.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know. Apologies, I did not realize there was a holiday in Europe today.
Right. So I haven't heard anything about this, at least.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure, actually.
I think probably the right approach here is for 1.3 to put the second job in place, but then to figure out why there are two images going forward and whether or not that can sanely be consolidated down to one image. You know, every rule that you have eventually winds up with a case where it makes sense to bend it. So it's not impossible that this is that case for the one repo, one Docker image thing. But if there's any way it could not be that way, I would be very interested in being able to get back to the simplicity of one repo, one Docker image.
Sure, I'll bring it up. They're back tomorrow.
Appreciate it, thank you. So on the delay pod start until Spire server is reachable issue, I think Nikolai is actually working on this, but one of the things that became clear as we tried to sort of bring him up to speed is that, number one, we've mashed two issues together here. There's the restart thresholds, and the second one is the waiting for the Spire server. And okay, and so there's a little bit of rework I think that has to be done in terms of writing this. But one of the questions that came up is this until, it might be helpful if you could persuade Richard to post the entire pod spec that's using this, because there was a question about whether this was something that was being done as part of starting the service, as part of running the probe, like where exactly is this living in the pod spec would be useful to understand.
I think it's the same for Richard. That is away.
No, that's to be expected. If lots of folks are on holiday, lots of folks are on holiday. Cool. So so thank you, by the way, for last time bringing up this Spire issue with resource consumption after 40 to 50 minutes. I went and took a look at the issue itself, and it looks like it's on track. I note that we don't have Sislard here today because undoubtedly he's on holiday where he should be. But it looks like this is actually coming together. There's a fix coming, and it looks like it's being tested. So there's a decent chance we could hopefully get that fix in time for 1.3, but it's not a certainty. Okay. Anything else on the Spire issue that folks want to discuss?
No, I haven't heard anything more on that, except that it's really nice that a fix seems to be in progress.
Yeah, it's always good when everybody's like, hey, we think we know what's wrong. We think we have a fix. That's always a good sign. And the Spire folks are, as usual, quite good about these things. All right, and then the IP policy removal not working. Okay, this is still open. And so I think the issue here is figuring out who and where, who's going to go take a look at this and where and when. Because we don't have anyone currently assigned, but obviously that's a thing that we're going to want to get fixed.
Otherwise, maybe I could take this item, but I was not sure about the resiliency about the folder on the folder.
About the what on the? You weren't sure about the what?
the resiliency of the folder. Like if the folder crash or is deleted, it will start again, and I was not sure how to find which routes and rule it has created before in the pods.
Okay. So there's sort of two versions of that problem. Yeah, so that is a good question. Could you add that question to the issue? I'm taking a note to go and update the issue.
Yeah, sure.
And let me make sure. Apologies, I wasn't paying attention to the names. Who was it who spoke up for saying they were going to pick it up?
Lionel.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Lionel.
That's literally what I wrote down. But I wanted in my personal notes, but I wanted to make sure I got that right. So yeah, if you could do that, we'll go ahead and work through it. I'll also try and provide some sort of helpful pointers there.
Yeah, thanks.
As well. So, and then if I recall correctly, we solved your problem in terms of being able to get the sending the IP addresses through on begin. That appears to be working then, I presume?
Yes, this is working fine now. It's the first part for the update of the connection.
Okay.
Which we're missing before. And the second part is this ticket.
Okay, cool. And I appreciate your patience on that one. I literally spent all day Sunday getting my head back into the right headspace, which is part of why there's a lot of comments in the PR that update what was going on. It turned out to be really easy and actually directly isomorphic to your solution, by the way, once I remembered entirely all the intricacies of what was happening. Yeah,
I saw this Ethernet context and auto context you merged with. Yeah. I was more in need for this IP context to be merged first because of the requirements we have for our project, and the second one is this update or removal of the IPs and policies. Yep.
So, well, in fairness, I didn't spend all of Sunday wrapping my head around it. I also spent part of Sunday convincing myself I couldn't do a proper three-way merge generically on gRPC, but that's another matter. Okay, so yeah, we'll definitely get that. I'll check back for your sort of comments and questions on that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we need to talk about here going forward towards the feature freeze?
Just there's two other items that have been opened on the APA, but I think we can close them now. But I'm not sure if there's anything left, which was the 119 and 127.
Let me take a quick look.
It's about the policies, the source routes, and the protocol and port parameter optional.
Okay, so this is the, I think this has, I think this is, as you said, I think this is probably done at this point. The feature was delivered. We're into the place of discovering that, this is, yeah, I think we're now into the point of discovering the nits along the way where we'd like the feature to be a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and close out 119. And then you said 127. I think this has all been merged. Have you checked to make sure this actually behaves as expected?
Merged yesterday. Thanks.
Okay, and then so this actually works the way you expected it to work.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Glad to hear that. And thank you for that work. Actually, that's a much better approach to the problem than one we'd originally been taking. So, all right then. So those are closed out on API. Cool. Anything else that we should be going over in this call?
Hello, Ed. This is Szilard. Sorry for being late. Yes.
Well, understandably, given the chaos of
I missed the daylight saving time change on your side. So even if I'm in vacation, I wanted to join this call because I like this community anyway. but yeah, fortunately, Johan invited me via our Teams chat. So he said that something about the OS forwarder, that there is two.
Yeah, so it's publishing 2 Docker images, and that and that seemed weird because the sort of typical pattern has been one where a repo publishes exactly 1 Docker image, and we tripped across it because we were in the process of prepping the release machinery, and we discovered that we didn't have a release job for the 2nd Docker image. You know, and so there was a desire to understand why it is that command forward or OVS is producing 2 Docker images, because there may be a reason that's unavoidable. That happens sometimes.
Okay, I will try to check it because
it would be good to avoid it.
It was not clear for me. It was not clear for me anyway. So I will check it. Maybe if Laszlo knows it. Hopefully.
Yeah, so I mean,
okay.
And I do want to be clear, like it would be fantastic if we get it to 1 Docker image, but we're not pressing the point. It's just that life is enormously easier for everyone if 1 Docker image per repo is the way everything works.
Sure, I understand. I will check it. I didn't know that so far.
We didn't either until just now.
Yeah, I see. Okay, and the other thing, the Spire issue I brought up a few weeks ago. I just got a message from Faisal that I will try to test it today, because it seems they fixed it. We had a discussion with the guys developing it. So now I have this image, and we'll try it in my environment. It's around 1 hour to test it, so that's okay.
That's perfect.
The other thing why I really like to call today, because there is the other thing, the Richard ticket about the delay post start and the Spire server is reachable. I was investigating it a bit and had a discussion with Richard, because if we really would like to hard code something into our codes, I mean in NSM components, or we can do that via the probes, and the question is, because I managed to configure the probes, but not the existing ones, but added the startup probe. I don't know if you've already have it or used it, but it seems it would really fix our problem, because the startup probe makes it to wait until everything is up. So we can configure it properly, and it's for the slowly starting containers. So it is what we would like to have. I will check it with Richard tomorrow, if they could use it. But the question here, as far as I've seen, startup probe was introduced somewhere in Kubernetes 1.18. So it would mean that if we introduce it, then it means the 1.17 we are not compatible with that anymore. I mean, it's a backward compatibility issue, or could be. I haven't tried it, but it was introduced in 1.18 according to my knowledge.
Yeah, so I mean, no, that's absolutely true. And we looked at the startup probe in the past, and so we were aware of the incompatibility with 1.17. Now, that was not the reason that startup probes were not introduced, right? Because I think 1.17 is pretty old. And so I think we're kind of okay with I suspect we're okay with dropping it. I mean, there could be something we discover that doesn't quite make that okay. So for example, if
Mhm.
you discover that one of the major cloud providers does not by default using 1.17 or something silly of that nature, that might give us a pause. But I like the cleanness of the startup probe, of using the startup probe there, because that does get us to a place where we don't have to make code changes, etc.
Yes,
So-
definitely. I think we must use the probes always, and this is the approach in Kubernetes. So everyone, even in the Spire community, said the same, but they just tried the readiness and liveness probes, but the startup probe would be the one that could help us.
So could you add some comments on this particular issue? Because I know Nikolai.
Yes, definitely. I wanted to discuss it if we can really target the startup probe, or we should consider the backward compatibility to 1.17 Kubernetes version. If not, then yes, I will add it to the. And even if we find the solution, I will talk to Richard and we can close this ticket with this, I think.
Yeah, so let's go ahead, because I'd like to get the probe values, including the startup probe, set at values to make things go fast in general in our examples, because people will copy and paste those examples, and you've done a lot of hard work to work all this out so that it goes very, very quickly. And I'd like everyone to be able to take advantage of that.
Yes, and this way with the startup probe we can keep the other two probes quick as it is right now. So I like this approach better than to change the code. Yes, I will add it and have a meeting with Richard tomorrow. We will test it. We will give it a try and come back with the solution here. Yep.
That's fantastic. I mean, because the other thing is, if we can make the other probes faster, that means we can find issues faster, which means that in the unfortunate event that something crashes, which we hope doesn't happen, and we work hard not to happen, but a big part of the point of cloud native is that it's less catastrophic if you are cloud native. Then it gets restarted more quickly, and that means that healing moves more quickly, and it's just good for everything.
Yeah, and if we just use the readiness and the liveness probe, we cannot really find the best solution, because we always need to be quite fast, but then it will restart always. And then
the restarts slow everything down. So I'm with you on this. Definitely with you on the startup probe.
Yeah, all right. The startup is the best solution, I think. All right. So in that case, if the backward compatibility is not a question to 1.17, then I think we find the best way.
Yeah. So barring unforeseen circumstances, I don't think it's a problem. But as I said, we'll sort of figure it out as we go. But the big one is sometimes the big cloud providers are a little slow to get going. I don't remember off the top of my head what the default version of Kubernetes they're using is, so we'll have to see.
Okay. So I think that's all I have for today.
Excellent. Delighted you made the meeting. Again, I apologize for the confusion around daylight savings time. As I've sort of frequently pointed out, I wish we would all just, not really. I mean, I wish we would all just do away with daylight savings time, because I think it was never a good idea. It just confuses everyone.
Yes, always.
All right, excellent. Anything else we need to discuss here today?
No, from my side.
All right, excellent. I will talk to you later.